Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something pretty interesting. Samsung and sustainability. So we've got this promotional blurb, right, about their Galaxy devices and how they're using recycled materials in their batteries. And they're really focusing on cobalt, which I thought, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Why cobalt? Is this...
What's so special about cobalt?
Yeah, like, is this just a marketing thing? Or is there something more to this circular business they keep talking about?
Well, the first thing that jumps out at me is that battery production is like a huge sustainability challenge.
Oh, absolutely.
In general, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got to think about all the resources that go into it, especially cobalt. I mean, for every ton of cobalt you mine, it's estimated that there are 200 tons of waste generated.
Oh, my God.
And then there's the manufacturing process.
Yeah.
It's super energy intensive.
Yeah.
Right. And that contributes, to our carbon footprint and all that. And then what happens to the batteries at the end of their life?
Right. Where do they go?
Huge problem.
So it sounds like Samsung is trying to kind of tackle this whole thing.
Yeah.
With what they're doing.
They say they want to do more with less.
Yeah.
Use recycled materials and this whole circular supply chain idea. Yeah. But what does that actually
what does that mean?
Look like?
Like in reality.
Yeah.
Not just in a marketing slogan.
So think of it this way. The traditional model, it's like a straight line.
Okay.
You take resources, you make the product, you dispose of it, linear, right?
Yeah, I get it.
But a circular supply chain, it's like a loop.
Okay.
Things get reused.
Oh, interesting.
So those old batteries, instead of ending up in a landfill somewhere, they get taken apart.
Oh.
The materials, like cobalt, are recovered, and then they're used to make new batteries.
Wow. So that would reduce our need for new resources.
Exactly.
Cut down on waste.
Yeah.
And lessen the environmental impact overall.
Ideally, yeah.
So back to cobalt for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, they mentioned it specifically in the blurb.
Right.
So why is it so important for batteries?
Okay, so cobalt, it's kind of a key ingredient for getting that high energy density that we need in our phones and everything else.
So like how much power a battery can hold for its size.
Yeah. It lets us pack a lot of power into a small space.
Okay.
Which is pretty important for keeping our smartphones.
Oh, that makes sense.
All nice and slim, right?
Yeah.
But here's the catch.
Oh.
Most of the world's cobalt comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Okay.
And the mining practices there often raise some,
oh, I see.
ethical and environmental red flags.
Yeah, that's a big concern.
Yeah.
So is that what Samsung is trying to address with their initiative?
That seems to be the idea, yeah.
Okay.
Their circular supply chain aims to recover cobalt from used batteries.
Right.
And then reintegrate it into new ones.
I mean, that sounds great in theory.
Yeah.
But isn't it super hard to get cobalt out of those old batteries?
Yeah, it's not a simple process.
And how can we as consumers be sure that they're actually using this recycled cobalt?
Yeah, that's a great point. There are definitely challenges when it comes to extracting and refining that cobalt. It's a new and developing field.
I see.
So the key here is transparency. Samsung and any company making these sorts of claims, they need to be upfront about how much recycled material they're actually using.
Right.
And how they're making sure the recycling process is legit. Ideally, they'd work with independent third parties to verify these claims.
Are there any specific organizations we should be looking for that do this kind of verification?
Yeah, there are a few.
Okay.
The Responsible Minerals Initiative, RMI, and the Global Battery Alliance.
Okay.
If you see their stamp of approval on something, that's a good sign.
That makes sense. But I mean, even with all that transparency and third-party verification, isn't it still kind of hard for the average person to figure out how these supply chains actually work?
Absolutely.
It's a lot to take in. And most of us aren't battery experts, right?
No, not at all. But, as consumers, we can still make informed decisions.
Right.
It's about doing a little research, looking for companies that are open about their practices, supporting initiatives that, promote responsible sourcing and recycling, and just considering the whole life cycle of a product when you're making a purchase.
So just to kind of sum things up here.
Sure.
We've learned about the environmental challenges of making batteries, the idea of a circular supply chain, and what Samsung is trying to do with using recycled materials, especially cobalt, in their batteries.
Yeah.
But as you pointed out, this is really just scratching the surface.
Absolutely.
There's so much more to learn about sustainable tech and how we can all, be smarter consumers.
Yeah.
It's all about asking the right questions and keep learning.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to remember that it's not just about cobalt, right?
Right.
There are other materials in these batteries, lithium, nickel, all sorts of things, and they come with their own environmental and ethical baggage.
Oh, for sure.
So as we move towards a more sustainable future, we got to think about the whole picture.
All the materials.
The whole process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The whole ecosystem.
That's a great point. And I think it's a great place to leave our listeners today.
Yeah, I hope so.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of sustainable tech. Keep those questions coming and stay curious.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. For more detail, you can visit our blog website www.evergreentechtips.com.